Welcome back. I believe we have some students that are going to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ms. Bowley, we do. This evening, one of the topics is college and career readiness. And so Kinsley Young from the College Prep Academy will start us off with the pledge. I'll turn it over to Kinsley.
Dr. Anderson, I don't see Kinsley as a participant on the list, so I can definitely stand in for her.
Oh, that is quite all right. We are so fortunate that we have two other students, both Kushal and Matthew, that are here this evening. They are National Merit Scholars. We're actually going to be hearing a little bit from Ms. Schaefer about them. So we're going to turn it over to our National Merit Scholar finalists. And I do see Kinsley is now also on the screen. And so all three of you, if you can start us off with the Pledge of Allegiance, that would be wonderful.
Go ahead, Kinsley.
We can't hear her speak, but I can tell she is speaking. So can we have our other two students as well jump right on in? And then Kinsley will continue on with speaking because we know you're saying the pledge, Kinsley.
Okay.
So Matthew, if you guys can start us on off from Topeka High, that would be great.
Yeah. Okay, I'll start.
All right.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for all three of you. And Kinsley, let me ask you to test and just say test on your screen to see if we can hear you for later. We can't quite hear you yet. You might want to log back in, press audio, and we'll see if we can hear you a little bit later in the presentation. And you look great in your college prep uniform. Thank you, gentlemen, for our National Merit Scholar finalists for stepping in. We appreciate that. We'll turn it back over to you, Ms. Bowley.
Thank you. I would like to have a moment of silence. Unfortunately, we lost another member of our family at 501. And so Mr. Hemley has, we want to respect their family. And so I request that we have a moment of silence as we remember his service to our district. Thank you. Thank you all for that time. I have a small story about Mr. Hemme. When he was here, when we brought technology to our district and brought our computers and helped set up all of our buildings. And I can remember him being in my classroom and I had this computer on my desk and I asked him, well, what should I not do to make the computer blow up and crash the system? And he said, there is nothing, just use it. We want you to use it. So I just think back of all the hard work that he put in along with his team to get us all wired up and ready for the future in education. So he had a lot of years of great service for Topeka Public Schools, and we thank him and his family for allowing that. Dr. Anderson, I think you had some school highlights for us.
Yes, ma'am. This is one of our favorite times of the board meeting. I'm not sure if Kinsley's back on and if her mic works. So I'm going to move on to our two young men that just stepped on in, which is indicative of the kind of scholars they are. I'm going to start off with Ms. Morrissey. She's going to introduce Ms. Schaefer, who will share a little bit and then turn it over to our two young scholars from Topeka High.
Good evening, Ms. Bowley, And Dr. Anderson, as always, it's a privilege. Little background information. I did a little looking myself on this. There were 3.6 million students that took this test in the fall of 2021. We did also have a commended scholar in the fall. That's the top 50,000. These two young men were first semifinalists, which is a little over 16,000, and then they pulled that back to actual finalists. So just think about being in the top 15,000 students out of 3.6 million students who took this test. Obviously, at this point, they are going to have a lot of pluses, regardless of what happens. But of that remaining amount, 7,250 will receive, or sorry, yeah, 7,250 will receive scholarships. And that is the purpose originally of the test, as well as predicting how they may do on the SAT. So I'd like to introduce Sarah Schaefer. They are very special, this group of students, and we've had many over the years that have attended many schools prior to getting to Topeka High School. But these young men are Topeka products. They went to Bishop, they went to Jardine, and now at Topeka High School. So they have been in Topeka Public Schools their entire career. Ms. Schaefer, their gifted coordinator, has been there all along the way. So Ms. Schaefer, would you tell a little bit more about these two students?
Hi, I'm Sarah Schaefer. Like Ms. Morrissey said, thank you for the introduction. I'm their gifted facilitator at Topeka High School. And just to put it a little bit into perspective, you know, at Topeka High, we don't have a semifinalist every year. It's a rare accomplishment because it is a very challenging test. And Kushal and Matthew are both students that I have known since actually before they were even in middle school. I was moving from Jardine Middle School when they were going into middle school. So I've actually known them since they were fifth graders. And it's been really fun to watch them grow up through the years and do math competitions and work really hard on this test. I actually remember the first time they took it as ninth graders, and you know, how they improved every year to get better. So just like Ms. Morrissey said, their accomplishment, especially you know, having gone through the Topeka Public School system all 12 years, they've really shown what a great education that they have had, and taken advantage of all of our AP courses. And both boys have an interest in math and science, and it's kind of fun because they've had some friendly competition over the years. So I guess now would I turn it over? I'm not sure what happens next, but I would just say that I'm proud of both of them. And there's a lot of universities that give full scholarships to national merit finalists. So they both have a lot of decisions to make about what they want to do next in the future with this honor.
With Ms. Schaefer's comments, we also know that Mr. Hare is on because he was also their principal, so he couldn't wait to join tonight. Thank you, Mr. Hare, for being here, and all others who have supported them. We're going to turn it over to both Kushal and Matthew. If you want to introduce your parents, if you were in person, you'd be doing that, but if you'd like to share who your parents are, and then I suspect the board members may have a couple of questions for the two of you. So we'll start with Kushal, if you'd like to introduce who's in the space with you. And then Matthew, you can do the same, and then we'll turn it over to Ms. Boley.
Yeah, so my parents are here in this call. My dad, Subaraju Mamalapalli, and my mom, Sivakelani Mamalapalli.
Thank you. Matthew?
My dad is here. His name's George Shubka.
Thank you, Matthew. We are so proud of both of you. I'm going to turn it over at this time to our school board president. And at the end of this meeting, for you to know that there's a congratulations banner that will be live on our television station, also on social media. And then we'd like to make a small video about the two of you separately, and just to share a little bit as scholars for other people to learn from. You are, in fact, tremendous role models, not just for Topeka Public Schools, but for our county. Again, congratulations, and we'll turn it over to Ms. Boley.
Do I have any questions from any of our board members?
Yeah. Oh.
Dr. Bonebright.
Kushal and Matthew, where do you see yourselves in 10 years? What will you be doing?
So right now I'm planning to major in computer science in college. So in 10 years, I think I'll be at like some company working with like computer science and robotics to like make the world a better place. Like one company I'm like looking to go to is Boston Dynamics, and specifically developing the robots there. So I see myself in Boston and Boston Dynamics in 10 years.
Nice.
Exciting.
I might need help if I have board members on Zoom that have any questions. I can't see their pictures. Do we
Ms.
have
Foley-
any
Ms.
questions
Foley,
on?
this is Dr. Schumacher. Can you hear me?
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Matthew and Kushal. My oldest is a freshman, and so I remember someday years and years ago, and both of you doing very well when you were at Jardine at the Sunday competition. What kind of things, we know the accomplishments that both of you have made in the classroom, but I'm interested in hearing a little bit more about what both of you, Kushal and Matthew, are interested in, and kind of what excites you outside of the classroom.
I have done ballet since I was maybe 4 years old. It's something that I've held with me this whole time. I really like performing, getting to be on stage, and getting to have improved so long. And now getting to do some of the roles that I used to look up to as a kid. Most recently, I was Snow King in the Nutcracker. And it's a lot of fun. It's a local group called Ballet Midwest, and I really like it.
He's also one of our morning report people, so you've probably chuckled a couple of times when he is on the morning report. Matthew, 10 years, can you answer that first question where you see yourself in 10 years before Kushal answers the other one?
Yeah, I'm heading in a pretty similar direction to Kushal, I think. I would like to go into robotics as well. Depending on the college, that might mean a computer science major or some mechanical engineering major, depending on what I think will best benefit me. But in 10 years, I hope to just be working on interesting projects. I really want to have a portfolio of just cool, exciting things that I've built.
I have one more question here on the panel from Mr. Munoz.
Thank you, Madam President. Congratulations to both of you gentlemen on this recognition. It really does go to show what we all know and believe, which is that our school district here at Topeka Public Schools is one that can help every student be successful, and you all are proof of that. I also know that none of us get here on our own, that we all get here with the support from lots of individuals. I'd love to hear from both of you. Who are some educators who have helped you to get to where you are right now?
Yeah, so in middle school, I had a gifted teacher. His name was Dr. Spiro, and like he was really instrumental in me like learning English. So like out of elementary school, I wasn't like doing well in English because like I skipped a grade and that kind of like didn't help. But like his class like really let me like learn English proficiently, and I also like develop a passion for like writing too. So it's all to because of Dr. Spiro.
And William? Matthew.
I had the same teacher as Kushal, and I do have to say he's great at teaching us how to use commas correctly. Aside from that, I have a math teacher with Miss Womack. She's always inviting me to math competitions, and always willing to help me explore new concepts and stuff. I think overall Topeka High has really great staff though, whichever teacher you want to talk about.
That's so great. Congratulations to you both.
Dr. Bonebrake.
A follow-up question, since you're both interested in robotics, there's a form of surgery, robotic surgery. Right now, there's the Da Vinci setup, which needs to be improved. And that might be a direction, since we're training fewer and fewer surgeons, there needs to be this robotic surgery, a surgeon in New York City performing somewhere in Kansas City remotely. And they do this through robotics. That's an avenue that needs great improvement because we're not taking advantage of that system, which has its weaknesses and needs to be improved. Just a thought.
Dr. Brumbrake, it sounds like you're suggesting they go into business together, and maybe you want to, be an angel investor when they start.
That's a thought.
Yeah, there you go. 10 years down the road.
So, hi, this is Melanie Stewart Campbell. I just want to say congratulations to both Matthew and Kushal and to your parents. Your success is their success. And Matthew, I saw you in the Nutcracker at Snow King, and it was an amazing performance. So congratulations, everyone.
They're both being very humble. They are very involved. They are people that everybody in school knows. They know their faces. Kushal plays clarinet. I would remember that. Being a math geek, I love both of them there. Just to watch what they've done in math is amazing. But they are very involved and very well-rounded students, not just brilliant. That's just one component of who they are.
We love hearing that as school board members, that our staff are producing well-rounded students, and we congratulate all of their teachers and educators in the past and present, and we congratulate you as merit scholars. Congratulations, what an accomplishment. We appreciate you coming tonight and sharing this exciting news. Dr. Anderson.
Yes, ma'am. And with that, I believe we have a certificate for each of them, and that'll be delivered tomorrow at their school. If we do have the certificate handy to pull up on the screen, we'll pull that up. You've already seen the banner that will also be posted. So those certificates will go to Ms. Morrissey tomorrow, and we'll be delivering both of those. Again, you can't say enough about it being quite an unusual thing for a school to have one scholar, much less two scholars. And it speaks to all of the educators, Ms. Morrissey's leadership, but these two incredible young men. So again, congratulations. We look forward to awarding you tomorrow with the certificate and pushing out all the other information on social media. The video, Dr. Gray will be following up with you to schedule time to capture some moments that you'd like to have as a keepsake, to create a special video for you to have as you go through the rest of this year, and for us to show to a much broader audience. Their parents are in the room. If there's anything else that should or needs to be said before we transition on to our next item, I'll stop for just a moment. For families or for our young scholars, is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Dr. Anderson, before we move on, I need to share that I am not a national scholar. And we need to adopt our agenda when this segment is completed.
Yes, ma'am. I plan to go back to that before we go back to our student from the pledge who's still fixing her audio. Thank you for sharing that.
I'm sorry that I'm not a merit scholar.
With that, as we close this segment on out, again, we congratulate you young men. Thank you, Ms. Morrissey and team. Ms. Schaefer, you are amazing as a gifted coordinator. And as we proceed on, we will be looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. If we can give some kind of hand clap in this space, it feels like I'm not clapping for them. Even in this space, we again congratulate you. Right, as we move on, we're going to turn it back over to Ms. Foley to
Thank
pick back
you.
up with the agenda.
Yes, we do need to adopt our agenda, so I'm hoping to get a motion.
All right,
Madam-
go ahead. No, I'll do it. Madam President, I move the board approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Dr. Bonebrake seconds.
Open. Raise your hand. Thank you. That's a yay, correct? Mr. Tatum, are you?
Yay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all
Vote
for
carried unanimous.
coming back to that. Dr. Anderson, I think we're still in your court.
All right, and we're going to see if our student from the pledge later today, we do have a college and career readiness component. That's a great time to hear and speak to Kinsley. And I believe we may have a parent or two on as Ms. Foster gives an update about college prep. So I'm going to turn it over first to kick this segment off to Mr. Dick, who will be reading the proclamation for CTE month. We'll pull up the proclamation for those that are viewing to be able to see that as well. And we'll turn it over to Mr. Dick to read the CTE proclamation.
Dr. Anderson. Proclamation of the Topeka Unified School District number 501, National Career and Technical Education Month, February 2023. Whereas February 1st through 28, 2023 has been designated Career and Technical Education Month by the Association for Career and Technical Education. And whereas Career and Technical Education offers students opportunities for academic, technical, and employability skills necessary for true career readiness. And whereas students in career and technical education programs participate in authentic and meaningful experiences that improve the quality of their education and increase student engagement and achievement. And whereas career and technical education provides students with career exploration opportunities earlier in their educational experience, which enables them to make informed and beneficial decisions about their academic coursework, as well as pursuit of established programs of study and career pathways. And whereas leaders from business and industry nationwide report increasing challenges related to the skills gap and connecting qualified professionals with available careers in critical and growing CTE-related fields, such as information technology. And whereas career and technical education prepares students for these and other fulfilling careers by offering integrated programs of study that link secondary and post-secondary education and lead to the attainment of industry-recognized credentials. And whereas ensuring that employers have access to a qualified workforce is a critical step in ensuring productivity among the business and industry communities, as well as continued American economic growth and global competitiveness. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of USD number 501, Topeka, Kansas does proclaim February 2023 as National Career and Technical Education Month.
Thank you, Mr. Dick, for reading the proclamation. And we know that you're going to be starting us off in the next segment, giving an update about career technical education. For our board members to remember that one of our strategic plan goals is college and career readiness. And under that, often we bring back graduation rates. Mr. Dick spoke previously about TCALC, but didn't have the updated enrollment. But under the superintendent's report, under college and career readiness, he now has the updated enrollment and the projected for the future. So he'll talk about that. Following that, for tonight, the college and career readiness space will be given to get an update for the College Prep Academy, and members of the Academy are on with us. So that does conclude our highlights with the proclamation.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson and Mr. Dick, and of course, Topeka High staff and students. We appreciate you all. Next on our agenda is public communication. I understand we don't have anybody here tonight for that. Thank you. Next is disposition of business by consent. Would I have a motion? Ms. Stewart Campbell? Mr. Munoz?
I'll jump in there, sure. Madam President, I move the board approve the items of business by consent as presented and authorize the board president or superintendent to sign the special project and purchasing contracts for and on behalf of the board.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Mr. Tatum? Seconds? Thank you. Do we have any questions on the business by consent?
Mr. Tatum, are you a yay?
I am a yay. I did not hear the vote being called.
Okay, thank you. I marked you yay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Foley. All right, I started off with Mr. Dick, and we're going to go back to Mr. Dick as he prepares to talk about career technical education. I'll turn it over to Mr. Dick, and we have a PowerPoint that we'll pull up for you, giving you an update about TCALC. Following that, Mrs. Foster is on to give an update about the College Prep Academy, and we have Kinsley from the Pledge and perhaps some families on as well that can answer questions and share a little bit about what's been occurring at College Prep. Mr. Dick?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. I also want to recognize I have my associate principal, Jessica Johnston's here with us tonight too, and may jump in with if anybody has questions or anything. We just want to give an update a little bit on a couple aspects of TCALC and some things that are going on. One being we just had this, we hosted actually at Washburn University, the Educators Rising State Competition Conference. And in doing that, we had 14 students who competed at the varsity level in that competition. And all 14 of our students placed first or second and qualified to go to nationals later this summer in Orlando. So we're very excited about that. Those students worked really hard and put in a lot of time and effort in order to do that. So we're pretty proud of them for those accomplishments. Another, just from our meeting previously this year, we still have 17 approved CTE pathways, although within those pathways, we've worked on expanding some things and opportunities for students along the way this year. A couple of those things have come through our partnership with Stormont Vail. And so just a little bit of an update on that. We are still doing the CNA, the Certified Nurse Assistant course with Stormont Vail at TCALC. We've got another 2 programs going this semester with that. We are also going to add one this summer and have a summer program that's CNA that will run through the month of June. Also this summer with Stormont Vail, we're going to expand that partnership and offer phlebotomy. And so we'll have our first phlebotomy pilot run in the morning session through June. And then we will continue that into next fall and run phlebotomy with Stormont Vail as well. We're still looking at other partnerships and things we can do within the community to expand a little more, but those are 2 we wanted to share with you tonight. And then enrollment. Things are going really well on the enrollment front. So we have this semester, after some seniors have graduated and moved on and didn't want to return for the semester, we're sitting at about 274 students that are part of TCALC this semester. We just recently, on Tuesday of this week, sent out letter of intent letters to all students for next year. And that first round of letters went out and there were a little over 500 letters that were sent. We anticipate enrollment to be at least 350 students and probably considerably higher than that, we hope. But we've got a lot of interest behind that list of students that got letters of intent. There's still a pretty good list of students. So if one of those chooses to not take their seat at TCALC, we've got other kids on the list right behind them ready to go. So hopefully we will be full at capacity and ready to expand a little bit here over the next couple of years. And those are really all of the updates that I have.
I'm going to open this up for questions for Mr. Dick, and my apologies, we're a little delayed with the PowerPoint.
There it is.
Yet I think maybe it just didn't come through with a little technical glitch. As Mr. Dick has mentioned, all of these items and these numbers, which are also on the screen for our board members, we're going to open this up for questions you may have about TCALC and the areas regarding TCALC. We're going to go back to the one page for TCALC, Mr. Gowan, and turn it back over to our board if there are any questions about the program and the projected enrollment. I'll tell you, Mr. Dick was sharing the projected enrollment may be far above 350, but he's being modest because he's had over 500 students enroll for next year or asked to enroll. But what we do know is that sometimes students over the summer, something happens or they take another course, and sometimes they adjust their thoughts going into the next year. So he's being modest in sharing 350. It may be well above that, but he believes that it'll be likely at least 350 for next year. I'll turn it over to Ms. Bowley and the board if there are questions about TCALC's current status.
Yeah.
Dr. Bonebrake?
Thank you, Madam President. A couple of things. One, that's an increase from last year. What was the enrollment in TCALC last year? I think it was less than 200, wasn't it?
Yes.
Maybe Ms. Johnston can help us with that, Dr. Bonebrake. I wasn't there last year enough to know for sure, but that's probably about right. I don't know, Ms. Johnston, if you have a recollection of what the enrollment was last year.
So last year we were around 250 in the fall semester, and then went down to around 225 in the spring semester. Prior to that year, we were just a little over 150. So we've seen a dramatic increase in enrollment every single year. It's fantastic.
How do you explain that? That increase?
I think there's some things we've done this year pretty strategically. One that was started last spring as we were talking and coming to this was the letter of intent, and trying to make sure that students made a commitment that they want to come here, like Dr. Anderson shared. There would be students that would enroll, but as they get to July and August and enrollment time right before school started, there'd be several that would change their mind about wanting to come or not. So we started the letter of intent process last year, and that dramatically decreased the number of students when it came to August that didn't show up. We've done days throughout the school year, inviting all the counselors and principals over to go through each pathway and hear from our pathway instructors about what happens there, just so they're more informed about what goes on at TCALC and in each pathway to help guide students better in that process. And there's a part of it, I think, really where the pandemic has helped us in that kids aren't as, they didn't, in the past, they had a hard time wanting to leave their school during the day. That was a hard thing for students to want to do, to leave for a couple hours to go somewhere else. And I think through that, it's shown some of them that it's okay to go somewhere else for a while and go back to your home school throughout the day. And it's made it kind of more comfortable and more common for kids to do that. And, you know, to be honest, we have a really good staff and a lot of really good things happening, and kids are going back and talking about it, and other students want to be part of it. And so it's really just kind of snowballed. A lot of things have come together to really help us make this a real destination for students. Our counselors are much more excited about sending kids to TCALC than they've been in the past. They promoted a lot more. And so there is a good energy and excitement around it that I think has helped us as well as we've built here throughout the year.
That's fabulous. And also, isn't it unusual to have 14 national qualifiers?
Well, this is only, we had 2 last year. So it's a significant increase over last year. Our 2 ladies that work in the teaching training program and Sponsor Educators Rising are fantastic. They work hard with those students and have very high expectations for them, and they get really good results. So we're very proud of that. But yes, that is unusual. We would be, I believe, the standout program in the state in regard to Educators Rising with the number of students that we have that are qualified for nationals.
Wonderful.
Dr. Bonebrake, as a reminder, Mrs. Dixon and Ms. Kimsey, who work part-time under Ms. Wallace, but some years ago, we've asked for everybody in teaching and learning to teach something the other half of the day, and they will place a TCALC in the teacher pathway. And under their leadership, in the classroom, these young people have just soared tremendously, as has been shared. So if they're watching, shout out to Ms. Kimsey and Ms. Dixon, who planned the conference this year at Washburn in conjunction with Educators Rising. So 14 more educators 4 years from now will be back in Topeka Public Schools. Ms. Boley, I'll turn it back over to you.
Mr. Munoz, I believe you have a question?
Yes, I do have a two-part question. First off, I'm really glad to hear that the numbers are increasing in terms of enrollment. I think a significant investment has been made in TCALC, and so to be able to fully maximize that opportunity for students is really important. You made reference to it, but Mr. Dick, what is the at full capacity, how many students could we have there at TCALC?
So right now, we have 9 pathways and then the 1 certificate program with CNA that's there. Typically, all of our pathways have been full at about 40 students, 20 in the morning and 20 in the afternoon. Where we can for next year, where we're not limited by computers or equipment or space limitation, we're going to try to bump those capacities to closer to 45 students a pathway and increase some enrollment there. We're hoping to add some staff in a couple of pathways. And so by the time we do that, we think we can be at about 520 in total capacity when we get to that point. So that's with adding phlebotomy and having that section going, which will be another Stormont Vail partnership, and they'll provide the instructor for that. CNA continuing as it is, and then trying to increase enrollment in some of our other pathways and push us to about 500 to 520 total students.
That's great to hear. I think that will just add to the value of education for our students and set them up to be successful. The second part of my question, Mr. Dick, is what you see for the future of TCALC. Any ideas for areas for growth or potential?
Yeah, so the partnership with Stormont Vail has been great, and so that is one that we still want to build on as best we can. We've been exploring with some business partners about we don't have a business pathway at TCALC, and so what might be the best way to go there if there's something that's a need for the community. We also just scheduled a meeting with a lady at Go Topeka to come out and just sit down and have a conversation with us about what they see within the community and what needs are there, whether that's computer science and cybersecurity or a business pathway or something that's not really on our radar. There's some things that we're exploring and talking about, but we want to do something that we know we have interest from students in, but is also a benefit to our community and something that leads to that. And so we are pretty regularly reaching out and trying to find partnerships within the city of Topeka where we can fill a need and have students who are interested in being part of that as well. And so we're continuing to work on that. And I hope that we continue to grow and develop more partnerships and programs that are valuable to both students and the city.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Do I have any questions on screen?
Yes, this is Melanie Stewart Campbell. My question is, there's some confusion out there about the difference between TCALC and college prep simply because you're housed in the same facility. And there is some crossover if either and I know because I asked Mr. Dick this when I was there, but just for everybody's sake, if either Mr. Dick or Ms. Foster could address the differences and also the crossover between the two programs.
So Mr. Dick, can you share how that works if a college prep student is there and do they go to TCALC or can they? I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Dick. And when we get to Ms. Foster, she can certainly add to that.
Sure. So college prep starts with 7th grade and 8th grade. So in 7th and 8th grade, they can come and be part of college prep. Those students, we don't have any programs at TCALC that are for 7th and 8th graders. They're all high school related programs, primarily sophomore year and on. So a student can come be part of college prep as a 7th and 8th grader. They can continue and be part of college prep in high school, taking an advanced math and potentially a college course online or something like that. Or if they want, and this is what I would say the majority do who continue in high school, they come and take an advanced math course through college prep, and then they'll enroll in one of our pathways for the other portion of the time that they're there. And so while we are two separate things, really, as they get into high school, if they want to be part of TCALC in one of our pathways, they're able to enroll in a pathway, do their college prep coursework while they're there, and then go on down and take part of the pathway that they want to be part of. Does that answer your question well enough, Stuart Campbell?
Almost. So when you say that they would take a class, like an advanced college prep class, they would do it in the TCALC college prep?
Yes, they come to the TCALC building to do that. So all college prep coursework takes place at TCALC. They really have a section or really a hallway of the building that's kind of designated as college prep. And so we have a teacher there through college prep who does their math coursework with them. So when they get to high school, their coursework is really math. They take an advanced math class, either this year it's Honors Algebra 2, College Algebra, or College Statistics. And so they do that while they're there for one of their class periods. They all spend 3 class periods with us. And so the other 2 class periods, they go take part in one of the pathways that we have.
I see. Thank you. So is college prep also the focus is math and language arts, correct?
Yes, traditionally, that's what it's been through this point for the most part.
And that's a perfect segue to the next slide, which Ms. Foster is going to talk about what they're offering now and what they're going to offer in the future. Mr. Campbell, are you okay with Ms. Foster picking up right at that question?
Yes, please. Thank you.
And so with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Foster. Ms. Foster, you have some other individuals with you. We're going to go back to the slide we just were on. And Ms. Foster, do you want to introduce who you have on the screen, even though they might not be talking right now? And then we'll go to that college prep slide that starts with CAP scores from Mr. Gallen. So I think we were on the right PowerPoint. It's just going to the CAP scores because that's what lists all of the courses. So the very next slide should show the courses for college prep. Ms. Foster, introductions first, and then you can start with this slide.
Yes, Dr. Anderson, thank you so very much. And hello there, Mrs. Foley and all board members. It is so good to see all of your faces. So I just want to say before we begin talking that we celebrated really big the Chiefs and their win yesterday as Super Bowl winners, and at college prep. We want you to know that we are a team of winners as well. So yes, we do have people here with us. We have 2 wide receivers, and I want you to know that these receivers, they practice their skills every day, Monday through Friday, from 7:50 to 10 o'clock, and then again on the weekends at their own discretion. So we have Kinsley Young, who you've heard about, and I believe we have Liliana Elliott, who's also a receiver of instruction at college prep. We have our staff members, our teaching staff, who would be Mrs. Dela Cruz, who teaches mathematics at college prep, Mr. McKnight, who teaches mathematics as well, but he could not be with us this evening. He had a prior engagement. And then there's me, and I teach English language arts. And then we also have with us this evening, Mrs. Haxton. She is one of our safeties and a parent of one of our college prep students, Ms. Liliana Elliott. Mrs. King plays the position of administrator, and she does a very good job of that as well. So that is the college prep team, and we definitely consider ourselves winners for continuous improvement. And so today just want to share 3 really quick items with you. First, I'm going to talk about the highlights of the college prep program, which you see on the screen. Second, I would really like to give a quick shout out to our students who are on the Washburn Dean's list. And then finally, you will briefly hear from one of our parents, Mrs. Haxton. So first up, CAP performance. We are very proud to say that all students at college prep scored at or above level on our Super Bowl, against our Super Bowl challengers, the CAP. And we were successful winners. If you can go quickly to the next slide, I'll show the data. So on our assessment for CAP for 2022, 88% of our students in ELA scored in levels 3 and 4. 12% of our students scored in level 2. The state levels were 32% at levels 3 and 4 and 34% at level 2. So our college prep students actually superseded the state's levels for ELA. Similar to that is mathematics. In mathematics, 80, that looks like a 9. I thought it was 88. No, I think it's 88. 88% of our children scored in levels 3 and 4. 12% scored in level 2, compared to the state's level of 29% and 36% respectively. So we are very proud of all of our students and the success that they have shown, the academic success that they have shown on the CAP test. Additionally, my second item was the shout out to our Washburn students, and we just got this information today. Our Washburn University CEP Dean's List for fall 2022 semester included the following college prep students: Leanna Hanson, Araceli Panuco, Michael Brown, Maya Welcher, Jackie Perez, Lincoln Carter, Rafael Obianeta, and Aiden Aguirre. And those students are enrolled at the high school level, but they are also still considered college prep. Mr. Gowan, not quite. May I have that slide back? Again, the previous one, please.
Could we take a small segment just to clap and celebrate those students on the Dean list, if that's appropriate? And the staff at College Prep, thank you.
So Mrs. Stewart Campbell, you asked about our course of study. We present our honors algebra 2 and college algebra and probability and statistics, which are all subjects taught by Mrs. Dela Cruz. We also have honors middle school math and high school algebra in 8th grade that is taught by Mr. McKnight, and global communications and young adult literature that's taught by me. College Prep now has 110 students enrolled in grades 7 through 12. When I first came to Topeka 5 years ago, and we started this program with 7th and 8th graders, and now this year we will actually see those students graduate from high school. In addition, we also have 2 students who are in the Washburn Early College program. That would be Tiajane and Carolyn. Tiajane will graduate this May with her associate's degree and her high school diploma simultaneously. Next year, we'll do the same thing with Carolyn. And so far this year, we have visited several colleges and universities. Of course, Washburn. We've also gone to the University of Kansas, K-State, Emporia. We've gone to Ottawa. Ottawa has come to us. And our big trip in the early part of 2022 was to St. Louis University. So we have a lot of goings on in college prep, and we are very proud of the accomplishments of our staff and definitely of our students. So one last person whose voice I want you to hear, Mrs. Haxton, I hope you are on. And so my question for you, and you only have 45 seconds because I've used up all of our time talking. So you have 45 seconds to just share with us how college prep has been beneficial for your student, please.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Axton. Thank you, Ms. Foster, for the introduction. Liliana is a 7th grader that goes to TCOC in the morning and Jordan in the afternoon. And the growth in my child is phenomenal. And I tell every single teacher I see, she suffers, she suffered previously from anxiety and not being able to communicate, in front of a large group. And here she is sitting and, even through Zoom, like this is not normal a behavior she would have had prior to the academy. She loved school, but she wasn't feeling challenged. And now I'm actually seeing the challenges and she's coming home. I'm having adult conversations about books, about literature, about world politics and, just national events. And this is not something we've done previously. So it's just really exciting to see the knowledge she's gaining and how she's using that in the real world, as well as how hard she is making this a priority. She's talking about going to Ivy Leagues and turn 13. She has big plans, and I'm very excited to see her excited for her future.
Thank you, Mrs. Saxton. And that concludes our report to the board. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. We're going to turn it over to the board, and we do have Kinsley. Kinsley, let's check your audio and see if we can hear you. And if we can, as the board asks questions, they both have our mom, which in the past, Dr. New has had a grandchild who was very shy. She shared a very similar report, but she's a staff member. Nothing like hearing from a mom who's not a staff member. Thank you for having your parent joining you this evening, Mrs. Foster. Now, Kinsley, we're going to turn it over to you. Can you say test or 1, 2, 3 on your screen to see if we can hear you?
Test.
You sound beautiful. My goodness. All right, we'll turn it over to Ms. Boley, whether she wants to ask questions to our student who did the pledge earlier or to others.
Yes, do I have any questions here on the board? Mr. Munoz?
I'd love to hear from our students on what their experience is like being a part of this program.
I'll go. My experiences of being part of this program is that I'm being challenged at school, because in elementary school and throughout the first 2 years of middle school, I felt as though I was flying ahead of my peers, and I felt like I was kind of an outcast because I was so ahead of them. But now I'm at the same level and I'm being challenged, and I've also learned how to be more socially aware around me, because I usually used to zone out, but now I'm more aware because I will listen and pay attention, because I know that I can now put myself into those conversations and voice my own opinion.
That's so great.
Do I have any questions on, would your daughter like to participate in that answer?
I think it would be good for her.
Yeah, I would. Well, yes. I would say college prep has helped me grow, and like how Kinsley had explained and told everyone. When I was younger, same thing happened to me. I wasn't challenged. I kind of, again, zoned out in school also because I didn't need to grow, and I would fly through perfect scores on basically everything. And to get harder math, reading, I would have to ask the teachers for like harder worksheets while the other kids did something else. And I think college prep really helped me in that factor as well. And not to mention, like my mother had told before college prep, I wasn't the best speaker because of anxiety and just not really liking talking in front of a load of people. So college prep helped me learn and accept or how to talk, and it's okay to make mistakes. Just keep trying.
Well, you sound phenomenal to all of us. Congratulations.
We are enjoying your answers very much. Thank you. Do I have any questions on our screen board?
Thank you.
Oh.
Okay. All right, I'll just go. So Ms. Foster, I know you've been really instrumental in getting college prep. I think you were like one of the founding administrators. Is that correct for college prep?
Well, yes, ma'am, Mrs. Stewart Campbell. I did come to Topeka and was fortunate enough that College Prep Academy actually began when I came. So yes, ma'am, I have been there from day one.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your service. And follow up to that, and this is for Ms. Foster, I guess, because you've been there since day one. Being there in the classroom with your students, like how have you seen them change and evolve? And if you could just speak to that since its inception.
So it is always amazing when I get that 7th grade class. They're always shy. They're always hesitant. They always tell me, I am never speaking before a group. By the time they leave us at 7th grade, all of those inhibitions have departed. And in their place, you have kids who are confident. You have kids who can speak very well, who are unafraid, unabashedly afraid, and who are very, very willing to put themselves out there, even if there's a chance of making a mistake, it's still okay. So all of us are growing. I learn as much from them as they learn from me. So there's no one particular teacher. We follow our students, even those who don't come to TCALC. We still follow those students. We check grades weekly. We make sure that any information about scholarships are gotten to our students who are in high school. We actually have 2, or is it 3? Please jump in, team. 3 of our students who have been accepted into the engineering program at KU, I do believe. So, and that is a result of Mr. McKnight's consistently working with them and exposing them to programs and scholarships. Remember that we have the 2 people who are at Washburn now who will get the associate's degree. So those things, all of those programs have evolved over the past 5 years, and our students are just absolutely remarkable. Oh, one more, we have students from College Prep who are on Dr. Anderson's Student Advisory Board. So our kids are very active and very, very confident in what they do. Thank you.
Mr. Tatum, did you have a
Ms.
question?
Foley, yeah, it was Dr. Schumacher.
I
Thank you.
do, but I'll let Dr. Schumacher go first.
Yeah, I really want to go. I just, it's more of a comment than a question. I will say, Ms. Foster, I appreciate the hard work that you do, and Ms. Dela Cruz and Mr. McKnight. And I think I need to switch the Chiefs to College Prep Academy because they're the champions. And I just remarking on how well-spoken Kinsley and Liliana, speaking for me at these meetings is hard. And I'm a grown man, and so I am very proud of what they are doing. I've known Liliana for a long time. Her grandmother has worked with me since I got to Topeka, and so I know that Kimberly, that everybody is so proud of what you and Liliana are doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tatum.
Thank you, Madam President. A question and a comment, both really, because I never miss an opportunity to give praise to College Prep and the work that Ms. Foster's been doing since day one, and really have appreciated, both at College Prep and TCALC, really understanding the scope of the program and the work that those professionals are doing with the kids that are under their care. And really, I have always been very impressed by the work that goes on there with both programs. So kudos to Ms. Foster and Mr. Dick and Ms. Johnson for all of the work that they are doing there and leading the next generation of our community forward. But having said that, and particularly for Ms. Foster, I'm curious, with all that has been accomplished since the first time that when you walked in, the program started, what are other challenges that you think still lie ahead for the program to try to master?
Well, Mr. Tatum, we have, Mr. Tatum, we have, as you said, we have done quite a bit. We would love to see our program, and we have conversation about this as a team and expanding our program. We have been designated as our own school. So if we could, we would love to be able to have more students and just expand college prep as a school, and maybe offering additional courses, making more courses available to our students in college prep. That would be our dream.
And if I may,
Understood. Thank you.
Mr. Tatum, some of the teachers are on. So the other faculty member that's been with the program now for, I think, approximately 3 years, Mrs. Dela Cruz. Would you like to speak to what you'd like to see, as we've talked about a variety of things within the team?
It is like what Ms. Foster had mentioned earlier. We really want to expand it and make a more impact on more students. So if we could have more content areas being taught at college prep, that would be great. It'd be great. And having like really a school with more students as well, and expanding it to high school.
And Ms. King is on as well. Ms. King, if there's something that you want to add, feel free to do that. And then I'm going to turn back over to the board. I know that was an instructional question for the faculty, but any items that you'd like to add? Ms. King, this is her first year with the program. She came mid-year or kind of at the end of last year. She, just like Ms. Foster, were both part of college prep academies in Missouri. And Mrs. King was a star teacher, then an assistant principal at Williams, and moved into the college prep at the end of last year. And this is her first year, part-time college prep as a supporting administrator. And then the other part, she's our hearing officer. So she is quite the day every day. Ms. King, do you want to add to that in terms of anything that you like to see or that the team has shared they'd like to see for College Prep Academy that's different than what's already been shared?
Well, really, honestly, we're all on the same page. We meet often, so the growth is the number one piece, and just continuing that private school feel with the public education. As our student Kinsley said yesterday, we want to continue that and expand that within our in 501.
Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Ms. Boley. For the board members to remember that when College Prep started, TCALC was being built. I was just starting as superintendent. I shared the idea. The board was supportive of just putting in place something that was a little different and giving me the autonomy to do that. So we picked about 20 or so students from Chase. So the majority of College Prep students that have matriculated through high school are at Highland Park, all doing very well. So we picked students that really were students that fell into that free reduced lunch range. We picked students that were farther behind, and we really wanted to demonstrate that growth can happen no matter where you are. It has since grown to become a support for students across the district. So those 20 or so students approximately now are the 100 students. We are confined by that one hallway because, again, as TCALC was being built, the suggestion of allowing me some room to create the college prep that I've seen occur in the other places that I've been in, both of which Ms. King and Ms. Foster were part of. So Ms. Foster agreed to retire from the college prep in Missouri and come, and she began teaching that year with that thought in mind of helping get this off the ground. So having said that, we are restricted in part, not because we don't want to take students, but in part due to the space in which students come. And TCALC is the other opportunity that they are then exposed to, which has helped with the enrollment of students seeing TCALC and wanting to be part of that. So there's some other pieces that makes it a nice piece to be in that TCALC facility. We also have started honors classes across the district so that college prep, TCALC is one place and college prep is one place in that regard, but honors classes occur at middle schools across the district now. So that's been growth since college prep, so we can really replicate the model in some unique ways. I'll turn it back over to Ms. Boley.
Thank you. I had a few questions of my own. Mr. Dick, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
So I was wondering, how do we decide who receives the letters? that are sent out to invite students to college? And is it the same process for the college and career on both sides of your building?
Are you for TCAL? Because he manages the TCAL
Yeah,
portion.
the TCAL, he said they send letters. Do we do the same for college prep, and how do we decide where those letters go? Thank you for clarifying for me.
So,
I'll
Mr.
let the college prep people speak to college prep. For the TCALC side of things, because we've had so much interest this year and grown beyond, as far as interest, what our capacity is, we give a score to students kind of based on the pathway that they're interested in, their grade level in school, their GPA, and their attendance rate. We don't really use it to eliminate anybody. There's no score that you could get that would eliminate you from being there. We just use it to prioritize the list and how we're going to work our way down the list as far as offering space to students. So you could be on the bottom end of the scoring spectrum, and that wouldn't necessarily prevent you from getting in there. It's just a matter of how we prioritize where we're going to send letters first and work our way down the list. So we're careful. You know, I think I've talked with some of you before. We don't really want to eliminate anybody. That's not really what we're trying to do. Our only real criteria is that you need to be on track to graduate. So as long as you're on track to graduate, we're happy to have you. But we've found ourselves in a situation with enough interest that we have to find some way to make a priority of who we're going to go to first. And that's just kind of what we've done this year so far to this point. It's the first time we've had to do that. So we're working our way through that system now, but it seems to be working okay at this point. It'll probably need some revamping and work as we continue to do this, but it's worked well so far.
Nice place to be for our TCAL position.
Yes.
How about college prep? How do we choose those students?
So Ms. Foster and I'll just have to tag team on this one. That's like Mr. Dick, we've created an opportunity where the application pool is far larger than what we manage. So the application piece is something that Dr. McDonald and I manage some of that. You know, it's posted. Once we get it, we help create the spreadsheet. We shared with the college prep faculty, keeping in mind that Mrs. Foster is a teacher and an instructional coach. And so it's her role and my role together to take that to the two teachers, which is all that we have at college prep beyond Ms. Foster. So the two math teachers will be Ms. Dela Cruz and Mr. McKnight, all of whom look at that information. Ms. Foster, do you want to speak to, she checked, I don't know if she checked today, but she did check a few days ago. And with the few spots that we have, Ms. Foster, remind me, how many spots do we have and how many applications did you have the last time that you checked?
So we have the application pool is of rising seventh graders, so current sixth grade students. And when I checked on Monday, we had 70 parents who have expressed an interest in college prep for 15 to 17 slots that we have available.
So Ms. Boley, we certainly have an opportunity there to, challenge in terms of picking that pools, but the college prep does have some parameters such as discipline, not having discipline, much like TCALC has parameters. You have to be on track to graduate to go to TCALC. So we just go back to that criteria in terms of knowing that you are prepared for the level of push that is going to be offered to you at college prep and being recommended as well by your administrator. An administrator recommendation sometimes comes even without initially the initial application, and then the application follows. And that also carries a great deal of weight when the faculty selects the students. If it really is a challenge of more students in space, sometimes we've taken a few additional students, but they've also given interviews. Sometimes when we really are at a point of a decision with more students and what we can take that all are on the same level. So that may also happen. So parents are being notified by Ms. Foster that she's received their materials. And then after March 2nd, she will work with myself and the rest of the faculty to go to the next step. Does that answer the question, Mrs. Bowley?
Yes, it does. It sounds like quite the challenge. I'm so glad to see so much interest. I had one other question about internships. I know we had some internships going on in TCALC. I was wondering what our internship program looks there at this stage.
It hasn't changed much, probably since the fall when we talked there. We have some groups that we have large pools of internships with. Stormont Vale is one of those. But we have a lot, our teachers reach out to individuals across the city, really, just based on the interests of students. And so that one constantly changes. So the healthcare ones, we do a lot with Midland Care. We do a lot with Stormont Vale. Those two have been really good partners in internships for us. We've got sports medicine does some with Cotton O'Neill and their sports medicine clinic, as well as St. Francis and some of our athletic trainers around the district. Those have been good partners for us. In culinary, they have some where they're out and about within the community. Our culinary students actually get quite a bit of good experience at TCALC. We do an extensive amount of catering, which is growing all the time. We cater events pretty much at least weekly. There's some event somewhere and sometimes multiple events in a week. Some of our web and digital kids are out in the community at various places. The students in animal science are at Hills and the zoo and a couple of veterinary offices around town. So it's kind of fluctuating all the time. It depends on the interest of the student, and we want to be sure that the students we send out are going to represent us well. They're going to show up on time. They're going to dress appropriately and do all of the things that we want them to do to be successful. So we, of course, hope to continue to grow that, but we're in about the 30 to 40 internship range right now with our year 2 students that are out and about doing things at any given time.
At one time you were sharing with me that getting CTE certification for students is a much harder process than we thought. Could you expand on that a little bit? Because I know we need skilled workers in Kansas as well. And I'm wondering how we're able to assist in that area.
Sure. So it depends on the pathway and the program. Some are easier to get certifications in than other for students. That is one that has proved to be a little bit more challenging than we had hoped it might be, and just the things that are available that we can do as a high school student. So we come across several where they either have to be 18 in order to get the certification, or they have to have a diploma already from high school. Phlebotomy is a good example of that. So we're going to start phlebotomy with Stormont Vale. They will go and take a certification test, and Stormont Vale will prepare them for that, but they can't get that certificate with passing that test until they're 18 and have a diploma. So they can take the course within a year of graduation, and Stormont Vale could actually employ them if they want. But in order to get the certification as a phlebotomist, they have to be 18 and graduated. That's just one example, but there's lots of different factors when it comes to some of those certifications that make some of them pretty challenging for us to do while they're with us. Some of them are easier in the culinary area. We can get ServSafe food handler and ServSafe food manager certificates for them while they're in high school. That's no problem. The CNA, they can earn a CNA license while they're in high school and go to work as a CNA. That one's not a problem. It just kind of depends on the area and what the certification is. So we're continually trying to look and navigate how we figure that out and what the best certificate is to get for students that's most valuable to them and gives them an advantage over somebody else when they leave us. So that's one we continue to work with. We also seek lots of advice from our pathway advisory boards, which are made up of business folks within the community that work in those fields as to what are the best certificates for us to get for students.
Thank you. We appreciate all of you so much. You are advancing students to areas they never really dreamed of. You've helped them dream that dream, and we appreciate all your efforts that you are pouring into our students. So thank all the staff, and I thank the parents and the students that came tonight to help answer our questions. Thank you.
So Kinsley and Liliana, you'll be getting a certificate delivered to you tomorrow at school. I know that is exciting. So that shares that you presented tonight at the board meeting. And so we applaud you. You did an excellent job. And we look forward to delivering your certificate. Congratulations. That does conclude our college and career readiness update regarding the college prep and TCALC. Thank you.
We do have an action item on policy. I believe Ms. Schmidt is going to lead us in that discussion.
Yes.
For the action.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is the policies that were presented to the board last week. There were 12 different policies that we were proposing changes and edits on. There was one proposed change that was recommended by a board member, and that was based on the public participation, which is policy 1036. And there was an ask that we would reflect that the speaker may ask for an extension of time 1 minute beyond the 3 original allowed, and that could be requested twice if needed, for a total of 5 minutes, but it would not be an automatic thing. It would have to be requested. So that was a proposed change to that policy that was different than we spoke about last week. So other than that, does anybody have any other questions about the policies or changes that were presented?
Yeah,
Dr. Bonebrake.
Thank you. Just a couple of edits in the policy 1031, officers of the board. I think it's a little redundant when you say in January twice. The board annually at the first meeting in January, after the second Monday in January, and shall serve, et cetera. And then same for the vice president. If you just eliminate one of those in January's, I think it'll be a lot smoother.
Okay, I will defer to Ms. Whiteman on those. I know she was taking a lot of that language from the statute.
Yeah, and then the second one is in regulation number 2360-01 in procedure. It's about if an employee knows as reason to believe that an act which constitutes the commission of a felony or misdemeanor, et cetera. In that paragraph A, all such reports shall be reduced in writing as soon as possible, but not less than 72 hours. It should be not more than 72 hours, should it not? That means you can't turn it in less than 72 hours.
If I may, Madam Chair, Mrs. Whiteman, can you speak to his last comment first and then his secondary comment of the less and more than 72 hours?
I think on the, let's take the 2360-01, when the report has to be made. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and we could actually hear you very clearly without the microphone with the new audio system.
It's my 7th grade teacher voice there coming back. On the 2360-01 regulation, safe schools, it currently says all such reports shall be reduced to writing as soon as possible, but not less than 72 hours after the occurrence. If we want to clarify that, we could put within 72 hours after the occurrence. I think that would make it a little clearer. So we could consider that as a friendly amendment. Ms. Lister, do you have that? Correct. And then the other one was dealing with the too many in January's. Ms. Schmidt is correct. That was taken directly from the legislature. And even though all bills drafted by the legislature are drafted by attorneys, attorneys can get a little bit wordy at times. So I would consider that a friendly amendment. And we could delete that second in January.
Yeah, either one, just one of them.
I think it makes more sense to do the second one.
Yeah.
Because the first one just is, you have to do it in January. So that would be appropriate. Ms. Lister, do you have those amended changes?
It's also in paragraph B for the vice president.
Okay, we
Same
can do
wording.
both of them to clarify it. I'm all for reducing numbers of words, so well, we can do that. And then that would have to be approved by the board.
That's coming from the words of an attorney.
Any other discussion on those policies?
That certainly is up to the board, how they want to handle that. If the board would accept the friendly amendments that you have, we could take care of it right now.
I would move that we accept the friendly amendments and move to approve this as amended.
Yes, I second.
Okay,
Okay. That's how the.
Everybody agrees with that?
yes.
Then we will
Yes.
move. We will move to a motion
Yeah.
to accept the policies as amended.
Mhm.
And from last board meeting.
Right, and we have Mr. Munoz making the second. The motion, Mrs. Stewart Campbell making the second to change it. And we're ready for a vote.
Okay.
Ms. Lister, please note, Mr. Tatum is giving, raising his hand as a thumbs up vote.
Okay.
Just a quick question about my connectivity. Is there any particular reason why I'm not able to hear the vote and folks aren't able to see what I'm voting?
Mr. Gowan, can you tell why
Yeah, when the vote is open, there are times I'm unmuting the microphone after Ms. Lister is saying it. And so we're hearing it in the room, but the folks on the audio are not hearing Ms. Lister at that point.
And I think Mr. Gowan, Mr. Tatum is saying, Mr. Tatum, can you not see the voting where you can vote on the computer screen? Is that what you're sharing, sir?
That is exactly what I'm saying, Dr. Anderson.
Do you have the agenda open? Have you logged into board docs just like we do at the meeting? We take that for granted because Mr. Gowan often does that before we arrive. So if you go
Okay.
into the board docs and you log in and go under tonight's meeting, then that'll bring up your agenda, highlight where we're at in the agenda, as well as give you the motions to vote.
Got it. Thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. I knew there had to be a reasonable explanation.
We just wanted to keep you guessing.
All votes are in and the motion carries unanimously. I will change those two policies and regs that were changed, the form, and then send them out to you all so you have a copy of what they changed to.
Thank you. I am now to board committee updates, and I'm going to start with Mr. Bonebreak. And if you would all come in as you sit on the dais here. So the next person after Dr. Bonebreak would be Dr. Schumacher.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. The Health and Wellness Committees met, and the Wellness Committee is going to meet monthly, sort of a subcommittee of the Health Committee. And it has two goals: one, to increase the usage of the Smart Shopper app, and two, to have more employees see their physician on an annual basis. Physicians are kind of hard to get into in Topeka, and so I think it's sort of been a more recent development that you see a nurse practitioner, a physician's assistant, and then the physician maybe a month or two later. The Smart Shopper, I still have problems with, in as much as providers are rated, and those that rate more highly, either individual physicians or nurse practitioners or hospitals, they can charge more and are paid more. However, Smart Shopper encourages you to go to the cheaper. So if you're a better performer, there seems to be a conflict. It just, if I had any hair, I'd tear it out.
No, so I want to interject just a little bit on that. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, Dr. Bonebreak, but I just want to clarify, because I did work on the Smart Shopper program when I was at Blue Cross Blue Shield. And they're not necessarily making it about the more expensive or the cheaper. And I'll preface this with, this is my understanding as to when I left, and it's been 1.5 years now. It's about the best performers. So it makes no sense to go to a cheaper doctor if for some reason that doctor has more incidents of postoperative infections. We by far don't want to encourage people to go see them, and we wouldn't necessarily pay the benefit out on that doctor. I think their goal, and we can clarify this with them next time we meet, is it has to do around performance and not whether what they charge is high or low. And I know that's confusing when you look at what they charge and what you get back on it, but that was how it was explained to me at one time.
But if you're a better performer, you are rewarded with higher pay.
Not always. Not always.
Well, that was the whole idea, but yeah.
We can ask them to clarify that next time though, because that was something that they had to explain to me 2 or 3 times when I worked there for me to understand.
Well, and they tell me that the Smart Shopper indicates what Blue Cross Blue Shield pays them. However, I've talked with multiple providers, and that's not the case. So it needs to be straightened out. I think the wonderful thing is they encourage and can incentivize to see their physicians on an annual basis, review the medications, do appropriate labs, screen them for diabetes, high blood pressure. Only 30% of our employees see a physician every year, and that needs to be increased. The other committee, the finance committee, rescheduled and nobody knew about it and nobody arrived. So finance committee didn't meet. That's all I have.
Okay, I am up next. We met for the personnel committee just before the meeting tonight. Met with Ms. Rayberg, Ms. Boley, Mr. Robbins, and Dr. New. We talked about some of the vacancies that are present and some of the vacancies that may be coming after we finish the school year. We talked about maybe some potential reclassifications and streamlining of different positions, and a couple of Ms. Ramberg's always looking at kind of compensation studies for different employees to make sure that we're competitive, so we can continue to recruit and retain high quality staff for our schools. And then probably most importantly, Mr. Robbins hooked me up with this sweet Zoom background here. So no other board member has that. So that was the personnel committee.
Mr. Tatum.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President. Can I say, Mr. Robbins or any of my other colleagues, hook your boy up. I love those backgrounds, and someone send me one, please. Two of my favorite things put together: the Chiefs and the Topeka 501 School District. I actually don't have any committee reports. I also missed the Finance Committee, and I think that I will make it a point to be at the next one, so that Gary doesn't get a complex for me not going to any of his committee meetings. I did go to the Health Insurance Committee meeting, but Dr. Bonebrake has done a fantastic job of, and with some help from Mrs. Schmidt, of kind of detailing what some of the discussion was during the Health Insurance Committee meeting. So I will probably have another report next time.
Ms. Schmidt.
Yep, I so rudely interrupted Dr. Bonebrake. I'm sorry. So I really don't have anything to add. He spoke for both Keith and I for the Health Insurance Committee meeting that we participated in. Just want to thank all the representation from our college and career readiness schools and students that we had this evening. I highly encourage anybody who's not gone over to TCALC and College Prep to take a tour over there and look at the facilities and meet with the teachers and watch the amazing things that they're doing. So thank you.
Mr. Munoz.
I do not have any committee updates for right now. I didn't look forward to the next policy meeting, Ms. Whiteman. And so do you send out regular notifications on that? Okay, so I'll look forward to your next notification and attend that one.
My committee reports, personnel. Thank you, Dr. Schumacher, for filling in that report. We have an ICC meeting this coming week on Tuesday that Mr. Munoz is assigned to. Just a reminder, an apology to Mr. Minke for missing his financial committee. We hope you take no offense. It's just confusion of changing around. So we will be there next time. We promise. I also wanted to speak to the retreat dates that have been chosen. Everyone has voted on a time, and we have two particular times. We have a board meeting night, Thursday, March 23rd, and the next Thursday, March 30th, for the retreat. I would highly suggest that we do the extra Thursday. I will be presenting, and I am a teacher in my former life and still am, and I plan on taking a bit of time. And I would hate for the fatigue to set in for all of us as we find our goals and our legacy for our board. So if everybody would approve March 30th, which your votes seem to indicate that, I will choose March 30th for our retreat. Does that work fine for you, Dr. Anderson?
Yes, ma'am. It does work for the team. We did move around the 23rd. And so previously you had a legislative update. And since Mr. Edwards was new, he came earlier. So we have removed that from that meeting because we didn't know if you wanted to just reserve it for the retreat. So that's informational if someone had a conflict that came up this evening. So the team stands ready to serve at your disposal on either of the dates that you would like.
It will be here, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
Our location, whatever
It
day
can
we
be.
choose.
Yep, if it's the board meeting date, certainly I can be in the space that you're in now, or the alternative Thursday. If you would like to host it elsewhere, such as Bishop or at a particular school or at TCALC, we stand ready to make that happen for you as well.
Any preference from my board members?
Ms. Boley, this is Dr. Schumacher. I would
Thank you.
prefer, like I can make the 30th work, but I would actually prefer the board meeting Thursday out of those two choices. My daughter has a music program that I overlooked on the 30th. I don't like her that much, but she'd probably like if I was there.
And Dr. Anderson, for clarification, we can set board business aside for that night for the retreat, or do we do both that evening?
You would approve the consent agenda, and then we'll go straight into the retreat following that. That could be how that's arranged.
Is there any concerns to having it on March 23rd? Then we will choose March 23rd for our date. And any particular place? Dr. Bonebreak said that here would be his location. Okay. Perfect. That's what we'll do then. We'll meet here March 23rd and be prepared to think and make decisions. Board comments. Would you like for me to start down here?
Ms. Boley?
Yes.
I didn't do the committee report.
Oh, I am so sorry. Please, your committee reports, and I apologize for skipping over you. I'm here by my side.
It's weird. I'm like, I guess you see us up on the screen, but I know.
Sometimes and sometimes not.
I just have an update about Sheldon Head Start because I'm now serving on that committee and I'm loving it because I love Head Start and they're really a phenomenal group of people on that council. So the update about Sheldon is, okay, so for those who don't know, that they use a point system for admittance, and it's to determine which students are the most at risk and in need of a tuition-free preschool experience. And so there are automatic qualifiers, which means if you meet one of these qualifiers, you're in. And the community assessment showed that they needed to adjust this, the point system. So what that means is, just to ensure that the neediest littles are indeed going to be admitted into to Head Start. So the automatic qualifiers are foster care. If you're in foster care, if you're homeless, under McKinney-Vento, and also if the income is below 100% of the poverty level. And then there's other stuff too, but you can read that in the agenda because also it was attached to our agenda. But I just wanted to share that with everybody. Okay, now we could go on to the board member comments. Thank you.
Ms. Stewart, would you like to start with the comments?
Sure. Okay, so you've all heard me talk about this study abroad exchange idea. And what I have lately, I've been thinking about how to change it so it would be a short-term study abroad exchange in the summer. And I asked Ms. Lister to send this draft proposal to everybody. So I know everyone's seen it and I know everyone's read it 3 times. And I just want to ask the school board, my colleagues on the board, if we could please add this as a discussion item for our March 2nd board meeting. And if there's consensus, then we can add that to the agenda so we can discuss it.
Is there any vote against adding this to our agenda next time? Then it shall be done.
Thank you. And that's all my comments.
Mr. Munoz.
Board comments, a couple of different things. Parent-teacher conferences were well. I think the format, when it's changed where the students present and it's not just sort of report from teachers, I think is really good. it engages students to know and remind themselves what they've studied and what went well and areas for them to progress. So I love how things have changed in that aspect. Other than that, I volunteered at a middle school basketball program selling hot dogs and popcorn. And so I think I was able to see all of our middle school basketball teams on a Saturday morning at Highland Park, and obviously their coaches, the parents, and some of our principals. So it's good to see our staff, supporting these student athletes. No. So I had a great time there. One other thing I do want to mention is that yesterday I went to a meeting sponsored by the City of Topeka, and it was the City of Topeka to help share information to community members at Scott Dual Language. The roads there are pretty rough, and they have been for a long time. Thankfully, the local NIA there received a grant, and city officials shared with some parents as well as community members some of the work that's going to be done. And that work will begin in the summer, and unfortunately will go into about November or December of 2023. So I was hoping it could all be done during the summer before school starts. I don't think that's possible. The good thing, though, is that these roads, which need attention, have been on the radar of our city, and that when it's all done, that it'll be a great improvement for our parents who regularly pick up our students and for the school. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Mrs. Schmidt.
I don't have anything. I lumped mine in with the committee reports because I'm a creature of habit and I forgot we broke these out.
Thank you. Mr. Tatum. Oh. Mr. Tatum, please.
Okay. Just want to be sure, Madam President. I wanted to give a quick shout out to an event that I attended on Monday at Robinson Middle School, supporting Black History Month. And I was joined by Dr. Gray and other community leaders who just spent time with the kids there of several different grades throughout there were three lunch periods. I only attended the first two, but they were phenomenal experiences in which we actually got to sit down with the kids during lunchtime, and they asked questions about our background and about what Black history meant to us, and what are our challenges, growing up, and how do we overcome those challenges. So it was very insightful. It was rewarding to me, and I'm sure it was rewarding to all the participants and also the kids that were involved. So again, want to really give a shout out to the folks, the administrators and the teachers who were instrumental in putting that event together at Robinson, and looking forward to doing it again sometime. Thank you.
Mr. Schumacher or Dr. Schumacher. Did I get that right?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't really have too much. I just it always feels good at the end of long days to hear great things that students and staff and parents and everybody is doing in TPS 501. So I definitely appreciate everything that everybody here does to ensure that that continues to happen. That's all I have.
I've eaten out a couple of times in last week, and the wait staff have been 501 teachers. And I wonder what proportion of our teachers have to work second jobs. Beyond that, our absentee rate is 8.9%. I'm getting onto this gosh darn September 20th attendance date. we have an absenteeism of 8.9%. Now, we were told by a distinguished senator, state senator, that September 20th is basically meaningless. It's to our advantage because our enrollment is dropping. Well, our enrollment drops about 200 a year, maybe. And if our absenteeism is 8.9%, that's over 1,000 students a day. And so on September 20th, there's going to be over 1,000 students absent. Subtract 200 because that's what they think the overall student number is going to deteriorate. That leaves 600. That leaves 600. Well, that leaves 800 times the state compensation is over $5,000. That's over $4 million that we're not getting. I think that needs to be reiterated through Mr. Edwards and our communications with representatives and senators that it's not to our benefit to have September 20th come about every year and not use enrollment numbers, because children are absent 8.9% of the time. And I think, other than, I wonder how racist Kansas City, Kansas athletic leagues are. I hope Highland Park doesn't have any more episodes like they had earlier this week. And I hope they come back to the Centennial League. Enough said. That's all I have.
Dr. Bonebrake, would you be a representative from the board through the district to write to our Senator Dietrich about your head count?
I'd like to talk to her again. Yeah.
That would be great. If you would talk to Mr. Edwards, he might be able to arrange that meeting and have that discussion again.
How can I contact Mr. Edwards?
Ms. Foley, if I may, we'll just provide his number, his email and information in my weekly message. So I will send that to all board members.
And one other thing, I also have a meeting at 11 o'clock on my calendar. It showed up, Avondale East Elementary, and I don't know what that's about. Tomorrow, 11 o'clock in the morning.
CRC or something like that?
Yeah.
Do we know what that meeting might be? Anybody know? We were discussing that earlier. We're not sure what that is.
We talked about it last board meeting, something that you had volunteered for. What was that?
So
if we go back to the video, we'll know for sure, but.
We'll give clarification as well on that item, along with sending you Mr. Edwards' information, unless Ms. Lister at this point knows what that item is on your calendar.
I do not, but I will check the video of the meeting from last time and see if I can find what it was.
Okay. And
Thank you.
Madam President, once you finish your comments, I was neglectful in that I didn't pull up the picture of the students, the college prep students with the governor as they served as pages. And Robinson has students that will be serving under Senator Dietrich as pages. And I was going to do that at the end of your comment. If I may just momentarily, you have our college prep students. Apparently pages hadn't been coming to they didn't have pages for some time. So at the Kwanzaa event, Carolyn Campbell, who works in one of the senator's offices, mentioned the page program. The college prep students were extremely excited. So middle school students were served on the Senate floor, had a wonderful time. Since then, Robinson now has, on March 2nd, several students that will be serving as pages. We can take that off the screen, and we're just excited for these young people who are interested in political science and civic engagement.
It'll be a great experience for them. My comments, I heard on recently that Narcan is going to be considered an over-the-counter drug that helps students if they are overdosing. And I was wondering if maybe our district could look into the possibility of having those at our high schools and possibly middle schools. If we think that that would be something that would be good for our students, our student safety. I also wanted to discuss that high school theater seasons are open. Buy your tickets. You'll have the best entertainment ever by going to the high school theaters. This weekend, I believe Topeka High and Topeka West are open for business. We also, during our consent, purchased new football helmets, probably with new technology. So that is another point of safety for our students to be up to date on that during that contact sport. We want to thank the Rotary Club Topeka South for helping with lunch support at Topeka High. Mrs. Perovsky to State Street Elementary. She bought books for students that didn't have funds for the book fair, and First Presbyterian Church platform risers for Landon Middle School for all of their performances. And I'd like to thank all of our board administrators or our building administrators for keeping those contacts and relationships going with our community. It is such a great outreach for people to be involved and see what's actually happening in public schools, and their help and assistance is greatly appreciated. If I can have a motion for adjournment.
Yes, I
Dr.
move that we adjourn.
I have a second.
Second.
Everybody go.
It is done. Oh, a vote?
No, we're done. Nobody says no.
No.